That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Flying Otters! You're tuned in for the 9th ever edition of the Flying Otters podcast. I am James McCartney, stand-up comedian, and with me as always is the CTTO, coming in at 7 months pregnant, 100% anemic, and 25% Japanese, Kirsten Pacelli. Wow.
I love that.
I cannot tell you how much I enjoy doing that. I feel like if I do not make it as a comedian, which according to statistics, my bank account and current market trends, that is possible, if not likely, I do have a future doing that. I don't...
Being the intro guy for the Flying Otters podcast.
Well, that and also maybe basketball games, football games, you know.
I could see you
Cruise
being the
ships.
guy who like shoots the t-shirts out.
Yeah, dude, I would be so good at that. Come on, everybody. Who's pumped? Let me see you make some noise. Come on.
I know you can do better.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you the story of what my aunt did when I first moved back from Seattle and I debuted a new bit for her?
No.
Okay. So I had been doing stand-up comedy in Seattle for a year, ladies and gentlemen, and trying really hard, and I wasn't good, and I knew that. And when I first moved back home, I made this whole long comedy bit that was like maybe 3 to 5 minutes. I don't know. It was a long time, and I wrote down all the notes. I had a character, the whole 9 yards. I put a lot of effort into it, and I thought it was funny as hell. And I debuted it for my aunt, who is an unbelievably supportive, loving, caring, wonderful person, right? Always roots for me. Awesome lady. And I did this whole routine, this whole bit that I was so proud of, thinking this is the best thing I've done in a year of stand-up. Here it is. I'm so pumped. I'm so proud. And when I finished it and it ended on a punchline that I thought was going to make her laugh hysterically, she sat there in silence, stared at me for like, I don't know how long, but it felt like a 5 to 10 second pause of just staring at me blankly and said, yeah, she was doing that. And then just stared at me and said, you know, Jimmy, if this whole comedy thing doesn't work out, you have a great speaking voice for radio. And she
Was she serious?
wasn't trolling me at all. She was speaking from the heart, which made it 10 times more painful. She wasn't just trying to rock my boat. She meant it genuinely.
That's something Bachan would say to you too.
Yep, absolutely. And for those of you who don't know, Bachan is Kirsten's Japanese grandmother.
96 years old. And still gardens and dances and walks every day.
And is a savage. That woman is ruthless. Not in a mean way. She just speaks her mind with no filter whatsoever.
She is very blunt.
Yeah, I love everything about it. It is fantastic. She also, that knitted square in the top corner, that says America Strong. That is from Obachan, who absolutely loves this country, as should everyone who lives here. But that's a whole nother issue.
For the not so political episode today.
Yeah.
It's a good way to start.
Well, the first topic of our 3 is apparently political when it should not be whatsoever.
The
but
viral trend.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about it?
Pregnant
you know what it
women
is.
popping Tylenol.
Yeah, which you currently have some weight in the game, if you will.
I will admit I have taken Tylenol a few times in the last 7 months. I hope our baby is not autistic, but if he is...
It may not even be from the Tylenol.
It will probably not be from the Tylenol.
Probably from us, because she has sensitivities to touch. I have sensitivities to sound. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is 40% of the senses, which, you know, that's a lot.
He'll probably be really smart, though.
Yeah. Yeah. But that is a perfect segue, because what we're talking about for our first thing here today is the controversy surrounding the announcement that RFK, who is our health secretary, along with President Trump, just announced that after doing a whole bunch of research, looking into things, trying to figure out what is going on with the autism situation in this country, they concluded that they believe one of the leading causes of the massive, irrefutable increase in the number of cases of autism is Tylenol during pregnancy. Obviously, most people have probably heard of this. The reason why it's noteworthy, the reason why it's newsworthy, worthy of discussion, is because so many people that hate Trump and, by extension, RFK have decided it is total lunacy and spitefully are taking Tylenol while pregnant and think it's completely insane that they came out with such an assertion.
I will say I can't stand RFK's voice, but
RFK's voice is very different than his actions, as you know.
it's not to say that anything he says isn't legit.
And I can't envision you saying, I don't like the sound of that man's voice. Someone give me a bottle of Tylenol.
Yeah, watch how badass I am.
Yeah. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is a really important topic to talk about, I think, because if this same exact finding came out under Biden, you would not in any way whatsoever see that reaction. You would not. You would not. So many different medical findings have come out over the years, and I don't know why it has been politicized under Trump and under Trump with RFK as the health secretary.
And also the fact that things like ibuprofen and other things, most everything is pretty much unsafe to have and take while you're pregnant. Like every single thing that you take has a warning label that says like consult your doctor if you're pregnant.
Yes, virtually everything.
So
Yep.
Why is it so huge and so unbelievable that Tylenol is also bad and could negatively affect you?
I think people need to do a strong reassessment of what's going on because that announcement was not made for Republicans. That announcement was not made just for right-leaning MAGA people. That announcement was not made for the fans of RFK Jr. That announcement was made for Americans. No matter how far left you are, no matter how politically progressive you may be, quote-unquote woke you may be, that message was meant for everyone. You could disagree with it. You can say it's hogwash, fine. But the idea that it has to be politicized, it shows, in my opinion, there's no more glaring example of how the vitriol and hatred of Trump and RFK by extension is infecting people's thought patterns logically. You could say, like, that's probably not true. Sure, I'm fine with that. But to adamantly say, this is bullshit, screw that, I'm going to pop Tylenol out of spite, that's gross in my opinion. And it shows how hyper fixated people are on hating Trump for him just existing.
I mean, people really think that he just came out and said Tylenol is bad for babies when you're pregnant as a way to make women suffer while they're pregnant.
I have seen that.
I mean, I'm very thankful that this news didn't come out until recently because if I wasn't able to take Tylenol at the beginning, I would have been a mess. But they don't tell you that to make your life miserable. It's still your discretion if you want to take the Tylenol or not. If it's so bad that you are in excruciating pain and you need to take a Tylenol, it's not killed babies before. It's not going to kill your baby. You can still take it. They're not trying to make you miserable. It's not why the news came out with this information.
I feel like we've gotten to a point in this country where if Trump and RFK had an announcement where they said street heroin is bad to shoot up,
While you're pregnant.
people on the left would be like, go get me some heroin right now. Stat. I got to get in on that.
I got to make a TikTok video
I
about
need
that.
to prove to Trump that he needs to stop oppressing me. He needs to stop trying to take away my rights to heroin while pregnant. And obviously that's a little bit hyperbolic, but honestly, not that much. Not that much. It is not that far from the truth.
Alcohol is probably a better example. Like if
Well,
alcohol was never proven in the past and you didn't know alcohol was bad for you while you're pregnant, and if that wasn't a known fact, then all of a sudden it came out, they'd be like, it's trying to take away our fun.
And here's a good example, ladies and gentlemen. The government used to think that smoking was not only okay, they thought it was healthy. They thought it was a good thing to do because they thought it calmed people down and helped relieve stress. So they thought that smoking was healthy. Fun fact, after research, they realized that maybe inhaling, processed chemicals through your lungs in the form of smoke is not a good idea. And then they said, you probably shouldn't smoke this and do this if you are pregnant. And the world didn't go apeshit back then, even if it was a Democrat or a Republican that was president at the time when they made the announcement. This shouldn't be political. You can disagree with the findings, sure. But the idea that
The
you're
people who are disagreeing with the findings, though, aren't scientists.
And I bet
The people who are disagreeing with the findings are TikTok content creators.
Yes. who are doing it spitefully because they want to hate whatever Trump has produced. That's the way this country has gone. That's the way
They're
it
the
is.
same people who also believed in all the findings that the COVID vaccines were all good and dandy, and believe in the findings of every vaccine is good and dandy and just fine because the doctors say so.
I want to say something that I think is really important, and I know that this isn't talked about as much because Trump is the one that has all the attention on him. Most people either love him or hate him. There are very few people that are in between or question it in the middle. A lot of attention is not going on RFK Jr. the way that I think it should. A lot of people now hate RFK, the health secretary who made this announcement, and say he's a scumbag, he's an awful person, but they forget that he was a lifelong Democrat. He comes from a lineage of multi-generation Democrats, and almost his entire career, he's a lawyer. He fought for progressive Democrat-focused issues. That was his thing. He went to war against Roundup, the chemical company, right? He went to war against a whole bunch of these giant issues that the progressive left loves. That was how he spent his whole career, was going after them and advocating to try to help people's health and go against like the big corporations he thought were stripping that from them. He was a diehard Democrat.
And doesn't the progressive left love health? Right? Like, you think about the left and you think about all those vegan places, the organic places, the places that are all healthy. Why would they go against anything that's for health now? And for natural remedies instead of pharmaceuticals and vaccines?
Because that goes into the point, is the whole point of like I don't know, not the whole point, I shouldn't say, but like the root of what I was getting to by talking about RFK's background is that because he is now the health secretary for Trump, he endorsed Trump during the presidential election, and then he was elected as health secretary under Trump. Now they associate him as basically Trump's left-hand man to just do Trump's bidding, and they equate him to Trump. They don't give him any credit for any of the things he did through his entire career. And they're just throwing him under the same bus of, well, if he's with Trump, everything Trump does is bad. I have to oppose it, no matter what it is. Have to oppose it. That is not American, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying you have to like Trump, RFK, or any of their policies, but if you can't look at individual things that they do, like objectively, right? If the same thing came out under Biden, I guarantee you, me and you would process the finding about Tylenol the exact same way as we're processing it with Trump and RFK. If it was Biden and Fauci, we would process it the same way, right?
I would still say, oh, Tylenol is not good for use when pregnant. Okay, I probably just can do without.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Because that's as easy as it should be. Everything that Trump and RFK is doing, even if you hate them, is not meant to try to destroy you, take your rights away, subjugate you, oppress you, ruin you.
Yeah, they're not saying pregnant women cannot buy Tylenol and take it if you want to. Just saying there's a risk of causing autism.
And also, this is a part of the issue that is really important to discuss.
As many things can cause autism, because that's what I've seen people saying is like, well, autism existed before Tylenol did. And it's like, okay, other things can also cause autism. They're not saying Tylenol is the one and only thing that can cause autism. So,
but here's the thing: the whole reason that they looked into it, the whole reason this even began, where RFK focused a lot of his time, which, by the way, not politicians, scientists. RFK has been spearheading a group of people trying to look into the causes and the root reasons for why there is an astronomical increase. And for those of you who don't know, and I don't know the numbers exactly, but it used to be like something in the realm of like 1 in 10,000 kids had autism. It is now 1 in 33. From 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 33. That is not normal. There is something going on. There is something happening. You can make the argument that in previous generations, when someone was high functioning, right? Because autism also has been relabeled, right? So high functioning autistic people that used to be called Asperger's syndrome, right? They are now lumped under the umbrella of autism. And you can say in the 1920s... Is
Asperger's not a thing anymore?
They basically just recategorized it all into the autism spectrum. So people who were formerly diagnosed with Asperger's are now just diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum.
Are they putting ADHD in that as well?
I don't think so. I don't know for sure, but I don't think so. But basically, in previous generations, people who were highly intelligent and highly functioning, but would have been what is now considered autism, they would have just said, oh, they're strange. They can go get a job, they can have a family, they can do whatever. They're just strange. They wouldn't have been labeled or diagnosed. They would have only diagnosed the people who were low functioning or very severe. Fine. But that's not the difference between 1 in 10,000 and 1 in 33. There is something going on. Something. And the fact that people aren't like, concerned, worried, outraged, confused, any of that shit about that astronomical increase. And let's think about the societal ramifications. I was a teacher in the autism spectrum program. Kids who are severely autistic need an unbelievable amount of support, not just based on their attention, but the staff that has to help them, which costs a lot of money.
Just for everyday things.
Yes. In the autism spectrum program that I worked at a middle school, we had one head teacher and 3 teaching assistants. And I think we had like around 10 to 15 kids in the program, right? That's 3 years of school. And those kids, a lot of them have aides that go with them through the whole way, right? So what is that going to happen when this keeps increasing and increasing and increasing? I'm not saying that, kids who are autistic shouldn't exist. Of course, I'm not saying that. But when you have an unbelievably massive explosion, and it has a lot of ramifications societally, financially, educationally, you got to look into it. And just because the person looking into it happens to be working for Donald Trump, that doesn't mean he's trying to subjugate and oppress you. What are your thoughts? I just got very passionate.
I mean, I feel like you should talk more about when you were teaching in the autism spectrum program and what that could possibly turn into if we keep going in this rate of from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 33. How could that look different? Because those kids that were in there were very different and much harder to work with and needed much more help than the regular kids. And I mean, you have nieces and nephews that are in elementary school and now having to go and be in classes with all these kids that need all this extra help, and it's taking away from what a regular day in school would look like.
Yes. It is a chronic issue, and it's every school district and every state is different, right? So I can't speak on behalf of the whole country. I can speak because, not only was I a teacher before I did comedy, but my whole family is. So this isn't just like on a whim. This isn't speculative. This is direct, like factual information from being inside the school districts in New York State.
And proving it's nothing against autistic kids.
I have family members, friends, this.
Yeah.
We both do. Family member, friends, worked with autism. We've been surrounded by autism in almost every realm. And it's not just autism, but here's what's happening in New York State in the education system. The schools believe instead of that, basically they've come from a new perspective where when I was a kid, and I'm sure when you were a kid in Florida, kids with severe special needs would have their own classrooms and they would be away from the mainstream kids, right? In New York State, in a lot of the areas and a lot of the schools, they are mainstreaming kids with severe disabilities, not just autistic kids, kids with emotional disturbances, physical issues and disabilities, mental health issues, and kids with low functioning IQ, kids who don't even speak English. Those kids are being mainstreamed into classrooms. And the reason why it's an issue is because not only do a lot of those kids need their own personal care aid, but it also I can't say the word. It takes away from the learning process. I can't say the word right now. It takes away from the learning process of the quote unquote mainstream kids because either the lessons have to be stopped, slowed down, accommodated, whatever it may be. So the majority of the kids, the vast majority, are not getting the education that they need at the pace that they need because kids with emotional disturbing issues, mental health issues, they don't speak English. The lesson has to be accommodated for them. At the same time that those kids who have those issues are being forced into a situation where the lesson is being taught at too fast of a speed for them. So they feel insecure. They know they're the one that's not getting it. They know they're the one that is, quote unquote, less capable than everyone else around them. So it makes those kids feel uncomfortable. It takes away from the learning of the mainstream kids. It costs a bunch more money. It is just a complete disaster. A complete disaster. And again, that's not just kids with autism. That is kids from all sorts of different backgrounds. Instead of having them isolated in their own rooms, they're being pushed into regular classrooms. And it is a train wreck. It's hurting mainstream kids. It's embarrassing the kids with the disabilities and the special needs. And it helps nothing. Fun fact, we also have dyslexia and ADHD. And I don't know if it's called the same in Florida, but in New York, it was a 504 plan. Basically, I had special accommodations for my disabilities. And I used to have to take special classes, as a result of that. So I think there is a lot of credence to what we're saying, because not only do we both have that realm of stuff, but I lived it both with my family and also as a teacher, and I saw what it was. In the autism spectrum program where I taught, there was a huge variance. There were some kids who were extremely intelligent. They just needed a little boost, something to help them focus. There were other ones that were extremely intelligent but had severe emotional issues and outbursts, right? There were also kids on the spectrum who were very low functioning, who needed a ton of help. And one of the students that it was like my primary reason for being in the program, he was severely affected in many, many realms. And I remember there was a couple classes that were mainstream classes that they pumped him into, and I was his aide with him in the class. And certain things would just set him off, and he would have a complete and utter meltdown, and he couldn't even be in the room. Because if he felt pressure or that he was asked the wrong question, he would just melt down. And once we got him isolated in the program and we knew what his tendencies were, he was fine because we could predict it. But when we didn't know, and like a teacher didn't know him, and they would just ask him the certain thing or say the certain thing, he'd have a full-blown meltdown. That's awkward and embarrassing for that kid, and it's a complete distraction for every single kid in the classroom.
Yep. And to your point about the New York school system being different than the Florida school system, where I went, they had special classes. They called it intensive reading, which is what I was in for pretty much all of high school, at least, maybe middle school. But they, at least, those classes were a lot slower than like the advanced math classes I was in, but they were able to specifically tailor it to each individual kid and what each individual kid's special need was. Like if you needed more time, if you needed to be in a room by yourself, or when you're taking tests, things like that. Now with so many people needing that special needs, how can you possibly accommodate for all those special needs? You can't, so you just bunch them in with all the other kids.
And who wins? Nobody.
Yep.
And who loses?
Everybody.
Everybody. And I think that's a pretty good reflection of what's happening in society today, in my opinion. When you look at the certain initiatives that you see going on in the workforce, we're going to do things not based on merit. Here's a wild idea. Call me an American, if you will. How about a meritocracy?
Where like the whole black pilot thing?
Well,
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's an example of it, where Charlie Kirk was mischaracterized as being a racist because of a quote that was taken out of context. That's a whole nother thing, but the very short of it is, one of the pieces of evidence that people on the left would use to say that Charlie Kirk was a racist is because of the quote where he said, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to wonder if he's qualified, right? But that was taken out of context. He's not saying that black people are inherently incapable of being pilots or that all of them are bad. He was saying that if you force a policy to try to increase the number of black pilots by force instead of by market demand and instead of by meritocracy, basically he was talking about an airline. I think the numbers were that they wanted to go from 2% black pilots to 50%, which not only is unbelievably ridiculous, but even when you think about it proportionally to the country, black men only black people, I think it's 26%, 24% of the population. So it's not even...
It's things like that cause racism.
Yes.
Or are what is really racist. Like, giving someone a job based on the color of their skin...
is definitionally racist.
Right. Regardless of how you look at it.
Yes.
Like, you are judging me based on the color of my skin.
Yes. And that's fundamentally un-American. Not only is it illegal, but it's fundamentally goes against the whole principle of what America stands for. And in that quote, Charlie Kirk was not saying that black people are unqualified, black people are bad, black people are incapable, black people inherently can't be pilots. He wasn't saying that. He's saying if you create a mandate, a corporate mandate that says currently 2% of our pilots are black, we are mandating that eventually within the next couple of years, 50% will be black. That is going to create a policy where you lower standards and then you have people who are less qualified going into positions where they're now flying an airplane. It has nothing to do with black people inherently being bad at something. That's not the point he was making.
I think it's ridiculous for anyone who thought that that was the point he was making.
You know why? Here's the reason why. I'm glad you said that. It's a very good point, because a lot of the people that you see on the right have their quotes taken out of context completely, and then they get looped on the media over and over and over with no context. So people who don't know what's actually going on see that to validate claims. He's a racist. He's a bigot. Just like when Trump said, this was a huge, huge thing. The whole Trump said that there were good people on both sides. When actual neo-Nazis went to a rally, Trump said in the full quote, I'm not talking about those neo-Nazis. Those people should be condemned totally. But that quote it's literally in the same paragraph when Trump said that. They remove that and it just says, there's good people on both sides. And then people who don't know anything see that quote over and over and over, and they say Trump's saying that there are good people who are neo-Nazis. Trump is a Nazi.
But that just goes into people even are commenting on our videos saying things like, oh, but yeah, what about all those, hardcore extreme right-wingers? Like, are you supporting them too? And it's like, just because you say your view is either leaning left or leaning right does not mean that you support every single person and every single thing that either the left or the right is doing.
Yeah.
And if you say there are good people on both sides, there are also bad people on both sides.
Yep. But, yeah.
And that can get taken out of context because that little part can be snipped out.
Yep.
You said.
And that's what the media does. And in that same exact realm, that's one of the things where, it's been very apparent for the past couple episodes that I've been addressing my concerns with the extreme left and wokeism and progressivism. And there's been a lack of me addressing issues on the right. 100% fact. Does that mean that I or Kirsten are right-wing people? Absolutely not. Here's the reason why I focus so much of my attention on addressing the issues that I see on the extreme left and don't really focus on the right. It's very obvious, whether you agree with their policies or not, that the progressive left controls, almost damn near monopolizes, all of Hollywood, right?
Yep.
Almost 100% of universities, the vast majority of public schools in high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools, right? Those are the realms that they control. And I don't mean it in like a conspiratorial way. I just mean people who are very progressive occupy the fields of media and education. Right? That's all I'm saying. What are the realms of power that the equivalency on the opposite side of the spectrum? I'm not talking about the full end of the right. I'm just saying like 90% in. The very right-leaning people. What institutions do they have control over that affect the culture, climate, narrative, and collective viewpoints of America? The answer is none. People who are full-blown actual, not what the media is saying of anyone who likes Trump as a Nazi, that's insanely stupid. And it also delineates the power of the word Nazi. And simultaneously radicalizes people who end up thinking that it's a good thing to shoot Charlie Kirk because he had words you disagreed with, which is insane. Okay? But here's the key difference. People on the extreme right have zero institutional power. If they're actually homophobic, if they're actually racist, if they're actually bigoted, if they're actually oppressive people who want to subjugate and oppress women, LGBT people, even though those aren't inherently right politically, let's just assume that it is. Those people have to hide in the woods of Arkansas and go have a bonfire with their 8 friends on 4-wheelers. And they have to look around and make sure no one from the town square is around them because they know that those views are not tolerated. So the question is, what institutional power does the extreme right have? And in my opinion, the answer is zero, which is why, because they don't have any institutional power, they're idiots. I'll denounce them right here. Full send. If you're a homophobe, you're an idiot. If you're a racist, you're an idiot. If you're a full-blown bigot, I have no appreciation for any of your viewpoints whatsoever. It's stupid. I'll denounce it totally. But those people do not have institutional power. The woke left has it in almost all realms, which is the reason why I spend so much more time talking about my apprehensions with the way that they are moving. What do you think? Do you see it the same way?
Yeah.
Do you think that I'm off base? Like, do you as someone who is not overly political on a day-to-day basis, do you see people with quote-unquote extreme right-leaning viewpoints dominating this pendulum and the way that society is moving?
Yeah, of course. We've talked about it on other episodes, how they're controlling the media and Hollywood and everything like that. But it's...
No, sorry, on the right. I'm saying, do you see... I don't know if I missaid that. I meant to say the right. Do you see extreme right-leaning viewpoints and ideology swaying the pendulum and the momentum of the country's culture, viewpoints? You know,
no, because that's totally not allowed.
What are your thoughts on it? Like, what do you see?
If you saw someone walking around with a swastika tattooed on them, or a swastika t-shirt or a hat on, that would be totally not allowed. But in the same realm, that's just like them doing their beliefs, whatever, and someone else protesting their beliefs. It's the same thing, but that's totally not allowed. And that's totally wrong. And those people are totally wrong. And they don't do that. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, as you said that, I was just thinking, have I ever walked into a bank and was greeted by a teller with a swastika on his neck? Have you ever gone into a restaurant and were greeted by a person who just spewed out, I hate the gays and black people? Welcome. Right. Come on in.
Right.
Have you?
No.
That does not mean that racism and bigotry don't exist. They do. But when do you ever see it institutionally or in a way where it's accepted? Ever.
And that's why people put Charlie Kirk into the realm of he's a racist, he's a bigot, he's a Nazi, because there are no real examples of those people that people can point out on a day-to-day basis and say, that person is a real Nazi. That person is a real racist. Because where do you see them? You don't.
Society doesn't allow it, which is why, you know, to bring it full circle.
Which is fine. Those things shouldn't exist.
Right. But to bring it full circle, that's why we don't focus on the right when we talk on the podcast as much. It's not that they're not bad. Of course they are. They're idiots. If you're a Nazi, you're an idiot. But fun fact, ladies and gentlemen, half of the country is not Nazis. People who like Donald Trump are not Nazis. And I know we've talked about this, so I'm not going to rant about it. A lot of people who like to spew that Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk were fascist can't even define what it is, and they were not. But if you believe that it is okay to assassinate your political rival and silence his voice because he has speech you don't like, that, fun fact, is a goddamn fascist. Whoa! Now we're getting somewhere. The people who scream that Donald Trump is a fascist like the idea of assassinating a political opponent. Kind of sounds like fascism to me. And if you don't know what the definition is, you should probably go look it up.
And people have no remorse or no filter or anything. Like, even just on our videos, like, nobody watches our videos. But people blow up the comments still on some of them.
Yep.
Getting into it over what? Just making dumbass comments.
It's a really weird thing to me, and this is a long...
Like, people just want to hate.
They want to hate. They want to... Well, I think they've been so hardwired into believing that half this country is legit. Like, dude, think about it. Imagine if you genuinely walked around all day believing half of this country are literal Nazis. Like, you truly believed half of this country...
Well, that's why they hate America, too.
Yes. Exactly.
Like the video about the flag, just saying people should appreciate the flag because it's a symbol of honor for this country.
Yeah.
And every other country in the world appreciates their flag and waves it proudly.
Yeah.
Why do all Americans not? And that video got so much hate.
Yep.
Saying this is a place where we can be free if we can choose to like the flag, or if we don't want to, we don't have to. It's like, okay. Is that worth your time to argue over that, though? Or can you just, like, appreciate the country that you're in, that you have the freedom to do whatever you want and to like what you want and to have your own opinions and to speak about your own opinions?
That's the funny thing that is so... I'm really glad you said that, because that goes into what I was saying about people not even knowing what fascism is. if they were living in an actual fascist country and Donald Trump was an actual fascist, he wouldn't allow those people to protest against him. He wouldn't allow people to scream the sentence, Donald Trump is a fascist. The very fact that the police protect the people screaming Donald Trump is a fascist proves he is not. The very fact that they're allowed to burn the American flag and talk about how awful America is and how America is fascist, and they can do it and not be imprisoned for it.
Are you allowed to do that? You're allowed to burn a flag?
That's an interesting point. I think that there's technically like a law on the. I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
I thought it was technically illegal. Like
it might be one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm glad that you said that though, because to give credence to your point, I think you're allowed to do it legally, but you're not supposed to. Like maybe it's a fine or something. It's something that's never enforced.
Maybe it's not illegal to do it.
It's very unethical. You're not supposed to. You're not even supposed to have the flag touch the ground. But the fact that people can do that stuff and not go to jail, talk about how America is the worst place in the world and Donald Trump is a dictator. If they lived in an actual fascist country, they would be arrested and never seen from again. They'd be thrown into a gulag, a work camp, where they'd make license plates until they died. That's what happens in an actual fascist country. Not that you get to go on TikTok and gain followers and become famous and get money and wealth from it. That doesn't sound too fascist to me.
Or just go on TikTok and troll other people's videos and not do shit with your life.
Yes.
Because that's an option too, which most people are taking.
Yes. And think about it, dude. We have to ask ourselves the question, because it's obvious in our opinion that America is not fascist and oppressive and evil. Okay? You can hate some of the things America has done in the past. You can hate Trump's policies. All well and good. But if you're hardwired in your brain into thinking America is an awful place, genuinely, we need to try to figure out what is the root of that. Where is that coming from? Where is the messaging coming from that those people, genuine millions of human beings, truly believe that? Where is that coming from? That's an important thing to figure out. I think it's a combination of things, but it's worth looking into. And then who knows, maybe when the results come out, everyone on the left will say it's bullshit because they did that with Tylenol.
Yeah, people are very weird about what information they trust. And I mean, it's hard when everybody's getting their information, including us, get majority of, if not all of our information from social media in one way or another.
Yeah.
And so how do you know what to trust? And also, with AI in the mix, all these parody things and so
AI
easily
is going to make it wild.
Like,
That's
how are you going to
point.
know what to believe?
That's a very good point. In a couple years.
And so you have to be weary.
Yeah.
And you have to look into facts and you have to research where did things come from and what was this source and all that stuff. But people are just choosing to believe whatever they hear, the first thing that they hear, and they're like, oh, that must be real. Or they're like, oh, that must not be real because I heard it first from this source and it was Donald Trump who made the announcement, so I do not believe it.
Yeah. And here's a very, 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 very strong example to give credence to what we're saying. Prior to 2020 or 2021, whatever it was, the progressive left despised the pharmaceutical companies almost, I say that word very carefully, almost as much as they hated big oil. The number one thing that they hated was big oil, right? The oil companies are destroying the world. They want to ruin the planet for profit, right? That was their number one industry they hated. The second one directly beneath that was the pharmaceutical companies. They despised them. Despised, right? And now, who are the people that took 7, 8, 9 doses of the COVID vaccine produced by Big Pharma, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson? Who were the people that took all those shots? The very same people who spent their whole life believing Big Pharma is like the worst. The beacon of capitalism gone wrong, the worst industry there could be other than big oil is big pharma. And those same people who spent their whole lives hating it lined up by the millions to get their 6th, 7th, 8th booster of the COVID shots. After, fun fact, they found out that they were lied to every step of the way and didn't care. They were told, you take this shot, you'll never get COVID, you'll never transmit it. Fun fact, that came out to be not true. They were told, if you get your first booster, then you'll never get COVID, then you'll be good to go. That came out to be not true. Then they kept getting told, just get another one, get another one, get another one. And at no point did the vast majority of those millions of people start questioning, do these things actually work? Was I lied to? Should I be enraged? Also, didn't I spend 25 years of my life hating Big Pharma? I wonder what that's about. Oh, give me another one.
You know what I never thought of before? And it's a weird thought to think of right now, but what if the whole COVID thing happened when Trump was in office instead of Biden?
What do you mean?
Like, how would things have been drastically different?
So I'm glad you said that because COVID actually started under Trump's presidency. We remember that.
Yeah.
Trump was the one that initiated the first lockdowns because we didn't know what was going on. Okay. Trump created the Operation Warp Speed, which gave clearance for the vaccines to be produced and bypass the normal pipeline to get a vaccine. It usually takes, I'm making this up, but it's like 5 or 10 years or whatever. He basically said, we're cutting through the red tape. Once this is ready to go, get it to market. Okay. Trump started that. And a lot of the people on the progressive left said, I'm not taking that fucking vaccine. That's Trump's vaccine. And they said no. Then Biden comes in and starts promoting, saying, everyone get your shots. They're wonderful. Do your part. You'll save the world, whatever. And then people lined up by the millions to get the very same shot that started under Trump's presidency. And it's the same fucking shot. How can people not see?
And it's not like Trump or Biden had anything to do with actually making the shots.
Right. The whole thing is just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing.
So how would have things been drastically different if Trump was in it the entire time?
If Trump
would
was
people have
reelected?
taken the shots? I mean, would companies have forced their employees to get the shots and people just said okay and just lined up and say we need to do this?
I'm glad you said that because it's speculative. I think that if you were to be able to go back in time and Trump wins that election, you would not see the massive demand from the left to pump full of those shots. You'd actually probably see millions of people refusing to take it because they would still equate it to Trump. When Trump and Biden, like you said, had nothing to do with the production of the actual
people probably would have
shots.
refused a lot of things
It's a weird,
that we had to do.
Weird thing. It's
like
a weird world.
all the closing down of businesses and being the 6-foot rule and not being able to do things. I feel like people would have given it a lot harder of a time.
If Trump was the one,
they
would
have
been
a lot less
it.
compliant. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I would bet. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I would be willing to bet that if Trump would have won that election and they tried implementing the 6-foot rule, double masking, stay at home for too long, they probably would have said this is Trump's excuse to try to take over as a dictator.
Yep.
They would have said he's
taking away our rights, taking away our freedom.
That I would infer that. I don't know, but I mean that seems logical. You know, but it's just a sad thing. I don't understand why people have to feel like they're in that realm where they can't question things and look at them objectively. Why
everything is political.
Like Tylenol. To bring it back to the very beginning.
Yep.
Case in point, like, you should be able to, even if you despise Donald Trump and hate him, if scientists come out with a study and they said, we believe there is a strong indication that Tylenol was one of the factors leading to a drastic rise in autism, you shouldn't look at that as inherently political because that applies to everyone. And it's a sad, sad thing that people are so adamant that they hate Trump and RFK that just because they come out with something, they have to hate it. I'm probably going to do a sketch about this, some sort of comedy video that'll get 200 views on TikTok because I'm still shadow banned. But
somehow your TikTok gets as many views as the Flying Otters TikTok.
Yes, with 7 followers. I have 253,000 followers on TikTok. I average 200 views per video.
And the Flying Otters has 4 followers.
7 now.
Oh, 7.
7.
And averages 200 to 300 per video.
What is happening? I'm so annoyed. I have been shadow banned for 4 years now. 5 years maybe? Jeez, I'm crow. It's so annoying. I hate it. It's so annoying. But in any case, on that note, we can seamlessly transition into our next topic, which is we have noticed people struggling recently who are in very different realms of life.
Into a non-political topic.
Yes. We've noticed it with friends that we've seen around us who are not connected in any way, not in the same circles. Not only that, work in completely different industries and do completely different things with their lives and have completely different circumstances around them. And what is the common thread that we've been seeing? in the last couple weeks?
People are struggling, and regardless of if they seem like they have their shit together or if on the surface they have their shit together, there are always all these underlying issues that are really, really complicated and really, really hard to figure out. And they're not all financial. They're not all about love life. They're not all about jobs or family drama or friends or where you're living. It's all different things. And even people who have their shit together have all these crazy struggles that they've been telling us about lately, which people seem to open up to us a lot and tell us their full life story, which maybe we just are approachable like that. I don't know.
Maybe.
But why don't you give them an example? Unless we don't want to give examples.
I can give an example in a general sense. One of the things that we found is regardless of where people are at in life, it seems as if not only life can be very difficult, but it seems like people who make certain choices to try to overcome one problem, that directly leads to the creation of a different one. And, someone who fought really hard to be financially secure can realize that that came at the expense of a social life and, relaxation abilities. Some
or
people
missing the opportunity to have kids and a family because you were so focused on your career.
Yes.
And now getting to that point where you were so focused on your career all your life, and now you're older, much older, and can't go back and have kids.
Cannot.
You have a hard time finding someone to marry and spend the rest of your life with, and still are not set financially.
Yes.
Still need to go back and get a full-time job.
Yep.
Like, that's nuts.
Yep.
That's some crazy, crazy shit.
Yep. And it seems like what a lot of people have been encountering with what we've noticed lately is that people are in a position where they feel like, I don't have a clear answer. It's not only that they have struggles, it's not only that they're having a difficult time, there also isn't just like a clear path forward where it's like someone's in a hard time, but they have 1 month left in welding school. So it would be very obvious, well, just suck it up for 1 month, then you'll get your certification, you'll be able to make some money, you'll be good to go, right? There isn't a clear answer that says, if you just do this, then you're fine. It seems like people are in a position where they're like, man, what do I do? Like, why is this happening to me? What is going on? And also, I don't really even know what direction to go in.
Like, yeah, there are a million options, but it seems like there's roadblocks to each one that are going to be or are really, really difficult to overcome. Yeah.
And not only that, I mean, that's what we've noticed from other people, that in completely different realms, people are struggling and they're trying to figure it out and they don't know what to do and they're hurting. For us personally, we're in a very similar position.
We could definitely relate it to ourselves too.
There's a human baby growing in that stomach right there. There's a human
couldn't
baby.
Tell.
And here's where our situation is, ladies and gentlemen, just to be fully transparent, especially so that people know we're not lecturing that we have the answers to life. We don't know anything. And we're in the literal position that we're talking about with other people, where we have a baby coming in 3 months. Neither one of us has set financial income. I don't have health insurance. And we live in Tampa Bay, where neither of us has any family. And I have shows where in order for me to make a living, I have to go to different locations. I can't just be in the same city. I'm a comedian. So I have to travel. So that creates the question, well, do I go on the road and do shows to make money? And if I do that, I'm not here to be able to help her with the baby and this dog. And if I stay home to be here to help her with the baby and the dog, where are we going to get money? What are we going to do? How will we pay rent? How are we going to do this without family support? If we do decide to move, where do we go? And if we do move to where my family's from, there's a long winter. Kirsten would be further away from her family. I wouldn't have direct access to an airport. Would that be worth it? Still, how are we going to pay rent? We have a shit ton of questions surrounding us right now. And it's scary and it's hard.
And even if the other option, going to get a regular day job.
And that's another thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You're still gone all day.
Yep. And that's another question too. Like, what if I did go get a day job? That raises the question, because it's like, sure, yeah, you can get immediate income to help you pay rent, but what if that detracts? Why can't I say that word?
I don't even know what word you're trying to say.
I can't say it. I'm giving up on it. What if that takes away from me being
Subtract?
Detracts.
Subtract.
No, detracts.
Like minus. Subtract.
Yeah, but when you use it not in a math equation, yeah, you could use subtract, but detract, I think it's detract is the way to pronounce it. Like it takes away from what you're trying to do. Anyway.
I thought that's like when you like undo a clip or something, you're detracting it. Unattaching.
Detaching it.
Okay.
Remember when we were talking about how both of us have ADHD, ladies and gentlemen? Case in point. But if I were to go get a day job, right, I could probably do that, go get some sales job or whatever the hell. Not only am I going to have the soul sucked out of me, maybe I make a stable income. I'm going to be away from the house all day, so she'll still be here with the kid and the dog by herself. But more importantly
and then what does that do for the past 3 to 5 years of what you've been working on to get where you are now?
And it's not just about the idea of pivoting. Of course you can pivot. I'm open to pivoting at any point. But I also, and Kirsten can tell you this, I feel like I have the talent to break through to a much higher level where financial, where there's a higher financial, potential. So like, let's say I could make $100,000 as a sales rep, right? Doing some bullshit. You're going to probably stay there.
It's like having seniority in what you're already doing. In a sense.
You know, if I were to break through?
I mean, just the fact that you're already this far ahead of anybody else who wants to get into comedy and chase your dreams, right? Anybody else who wants to do anything on that level.
Yeah.
You're already this far ahead. You'd be literally starting from zero if you went into a day job, a regular sales job again.
Case in point, I tried to apply to be a server at Krabby Bill's to serve chicken tenders and sling Shirley Temples and did not get an interview. Didn't get an interview. Didn't get a callback. Didn't get anything.
Well, your resume wasn't good enough.
Yeah, my resume. And I'm not saying this to brag. I have a fucking master's degree, and I've done all kinds of crazy shit.
Did you not write a good cover letter?
I didn't I filled out a handwritten application with my shitty handwriting.
And that's because you needed seniority. You needed to work your way up at Krabby Bill's. You needed to start as a dish bitch.
Yes.
And work your way up.
Yes, and that's what the guy told me. So I was considered unqualified to be slinging chicken tenders and Shirley Temples at Krabby Bill's.
So that's not a good option either, to go back and just try to start over again in some other new thing.
And that's the thing. It's like we were talking about this. It's like you don't know. Maybe it doesn't happen, and maybe we're wrong. But it feels like I have the capacity to have a breakthrough to get to a higher level where not only would we have financial freedom, but we'd be able to have more time between ourselves and the baby, right? But that could be taken away if I just commit to getting a day job where I'm just spending all day trying to sell electrical components or car parts or whatever the hell, So there's no easy answer.
Or you forgot about Jimmy's Shirley Temples.
That is also a viable option, ladies and gentlemen. We're thinking about having me have my own business on the Lake Champlain ferry system between Burlington, Vermont and Plattsburgh, New York, where I would sell Shirley Temples at Jimmy's Shirley Temples.
In rollerblades.
In rollerblades, folks.
On the ferry.
Regardless of weather, I'm slinging Shirley Temples. And if you
ask me... It'd be like
a
lemonade stand set up at the front of the ferry.
Jimmy's Shirley Temples. And if you ask me if I have Pepsi products available or orange juice, perhaps, you know what I'll tell you? Tell them.
Nope. We have Shirley Temples.
Here at
Jimmy's Shirley Temples.
These are the things we're trying to consider for ourselves.
These are all these business ideas that we have brewing. I know some are better than others. That's one of our top ones right now.
That's actually one of our best hopes right now in terms of legitimately.
Would you rather work at Jimmy's Shirley Temples or Tons of Tile?
All right, well.
And I'm going to be the boat operator at Jimmy's Shirley Temples, so that way I'm going to hit all the waves and make it really wavy.
Just to fuck with me?
You.
I'm going to be honest with you. If we can film it, I feel like that has the potential to be something that's viral. So, and also, God help me if I'm working at Tons of Tile. Ugh.
I just want to see you rollerblade around with a tray full of Shirley Temples.
Hey, guys. Anybody interested in buying a Shirley Temple from Jimmy's Shirley Temples?
How much are you going to sell them for? We've not even talked about that.
$7. But it's going to come in a cool mug that changes colors.
I'm going to put a vending machine on the boat that also has Coke and Right. And regular beverages
to compete with
to
me.
compete with you.
You want to compete with Jimmy?
And
Shirley
they're only going to be
Temples?
$2.
You do realize that if I was slinging Shirley Temples on a boat when it's raining, I'd be doing that to try to help our family. And you're just fully committed to
but
having...
if we are the only two competing, that's still a monopoly.
false competition. Oh, you don't like my Shirley Temple? Don't go to the vending machine over there.
Do you guys have Coke or Pepsi? No.
We're going to put a cardboard sign on it that says in parentheses, not a part of Jimmy's Shirley Temples.
Jimmy's Shirley Temples sold separately.
Not an affiliate.
I think people would ride the ferry just to get a Shirley Temple.
Folks, you may think that we're only saying this satirically, but at least 5% of us have 5% of our brain power has been committed to considering this option for how in the world we're going to finance paying for a human baby and keep our lifestyle. And we don't have an answer.
You could set one up on the Clearwater Ferry too.
The sunset views of Jimmy Shirley Temples.
Yep.
I'm
The same one that got hit by the guy who
owns Janice.
Owned.
Formerly.
Yeah.
I could have the website where Jimmy Shirley Temples and the font would be shitty like it's in a Sharpie and it's still black and brown on the website. And it would say click for location. It would be the Lake Champlain Ferries in Plattsburgh or the Clearwater Beach.
Where is Jimmy at today? The Jimmy Finder.
Of Jimmy Shirley Temples. Folks.
You might have to get an employee to be at whatever one you're not at.
I have to expand my business model.
Multiple rollerblades.
Here's the thing, folks. The truth and the depth behind the jokes that we're talking about right now is the fact that we are terrified. We know that we're staring down the barrel of something that's really scary and really unknown and really hard and unbelievably new and challenging and filled with responsibility. We understand all of that, and we're scared, just like a lot of people. And I want to say something. I think this is important. When I was with Dave Landau a couple weeks ago and I was in Texas doing Normal World, we were driving on the highway together, and we were talking a little bit about this type of shit and like how I'm scared and wondering what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And Dave, when we were on the highway, it was packed. There was cars everywhere. And Dave said, Jimmy, look around. There isn't a single person in any of these cars anywhere that isn't also terrified. No matter their situation. And to give credence to what we were talking about at the beginning of the topic, people in all different backgrounds, whether they have money or not, whether they have success or not, whether they have family or not, everybody is scared, for different reasons. But for some reason, life is really hard, and I don't know why. And I don't know why it is filled with the struggle and challenges at the rate and the percentage of which it is, but that's the way it goes.
Hey, you're trying to take away my hot take from me.
I will not say anything more. I will say nothing more.
You just said my hot take.
No, I did not. I did not.
I even told you about it before we started recording.
I will not expand further. I will not expand
further. The hot take.
Oh, no, wait. We got to do it at the end. That's how we always do it.
Okay, my last thing I'll say about this then
Okay.
is that we're terrified. But at least it's a boy, and he's going to have some pretty badass toys.
I thought you were going to say, at least we have each other no matter what. Kirsten's like, at least it's a boy, goddammit.
And
Let's go.
We got some badass toys that he'll be able to play with. Well, if we share.
Yeah, dude, no way. I'm not letting a little baby break our toys. He's got to get his own.
We have to start getting him a Hot Wheels every time we get one.
No, he's not old enough for Hot Wheels.
He's not
He
even.
gets a Tonka.
He's still a fetus.
No, what is it? Little Price? What are like the giant ones?
Oh, like that one that we have back there. The dump truck?
Yes. No, it's in there, I think.
Did we move it?
We have several, but those types of things that are meant for little babies. He can have those. He's not messing with our Hot Wheels, dude. He'll put them in his mouth and pop the wheels out and break them.
You think that a baby is gonna break the Hot Wheels?
I don't know, dude. Maybe
probably just make it slobbery and gross.
Like him.
Yep.
Well, In any case, very quickly, before we go to Kirsten's hot take, we will finish our third and final topic, which is multiverse theory.
Well, I don't think that's a quick topic. We can save that for the next episode.
Do you want to save it?
Yeah.
Well, what's a third thing we can talk about quickly? I feel like we typically have 3 topics. We got to have a third one.
Mac got a new toy today.
That is a thing he did. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we're very fortunate because typically when we do this, we're annoyed at it as shit because he's being difficult and obnoxious the whole time. But he loves antlers so much. He is completely entertained and has no interest in anything else other than that. So if any of you have a dog who is unbelievably demanding.
Show them.
No, I don't want to distract. No, then he's going to get all intense and get up and get a deer antler for the low price of what, $10?
Sell them at Publix.
$10?
Yeah, something
There
like
we
that.
go. How about this for a topic? HOAs suck. Let's talk about HOAs.
We don't even own.
Homeowners Association.
We don't even own a home.
They suck. They are the worst. Screw them. They are awful. So bad. So bad. If you own a house and you're told that you can't park a car on your own lawn that you own, fuck you. If you own a house and you're told that you can't have an American flag waving in the front yard, fuck you. If you own a house and or in our case, possibly, maybe speculatively discuss the idea of putting towels on your balcony and are told you cannot do that, fuck you. HOAs are bullshit. Fuck off
You can
with your
have
stupid
pinwheels,
rules.
though.
Yeah, pinwheels are okay. Fake birds are okay. But a towel on a balcony is not. Also, we live in Florida. It rains all the goddamn time. And we got a notification from our HOA to not allow water when Kirsten waters her plants. Do not let the water drip onto the unit below you as it may cause damage to the unit below. We live in fucking Florida, motherfuckers. It rains all the goddamn time. We live 20 feet away from where hurricanes land on shore. And
It rains like every day.
fun fact, the unit below us is the goddamn community center where no one lives.
We are literally on the water.
It rains in Florida, folks. What is the HOA going to do? Write a letter to God and say, "Dear God, your rainfall has disrupted the rules of this HOA. You cannot allow rainfall to hit our building as it may cause damage to the units." What are we talking about? HOAs are silly and stupid and can go fuck themselves.
And again, we do not even own a home. So having to follow the rules of a homeowners association,
And not even own.
not even own.
That ain't it either.
Yep. Is it time?
With that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for Kirsten's hot take. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. Make some noise for your favorite segment, Kirsten's hot take. Now, here we go, girl.
It's only halfway done.
We're gonna let it ride.
I don't know how to stop it yet, so haven't quite figured that out.
You can bob your head, or for the 3 people watching, you can say goodbye, or just wait.
For Kirsten's hot take, life is fucking hard. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am. Speak some truth. Hit him with it. Rant for me.
That's it.
That's it? No elaboration, just statement of fact?
No matter who you are, life is probably fucking hard. Except for if you're a kid living a good life. Mac is just a kid. That's his new theme song. But yeah, I feel like being an adult is really fucking rough.
What message would you want to send to people? Like, if you were able to send a message to people who are watching this, what would you want to say to them?
Don't grow up too fast. Don't ever stop chasing your dreams. Because if you do, you just end up as an adult who hasn't done what they want to do with their life and have lost the realm of your childhood and your childhood dreams and everything you thought you could do when you were able to have an imagination and able to think that dreams could actually come true. So don't lose sight of it, because you're never too old and you only get one chance at this life. So have fun.
And what would you say to the people who are in the midst of the storm? Everything's collapsing around them. They feel like they're screwed. They have no outlet. Bad things keep happening. They can't escape it. They feel like life is out to get them. They're scared. They're frustrated. Everything sucks. What would you say to them?
Keep weathering it, because eventually something good will turn around for you. And I can say that because I feel like we just celebrated our 1 year of knowing each other.
Yeah, we forgot about that
We
completely.
forgot about that. But I was having a really hard time just before I met him, and it seemed like everything in life was going south for me and was really, really, really difficult. I lost my job, and then I lost my dog, and so life was really, really hard. And so I did some soul-searching things. I went on a trip to South America, and then I finally met him, and things completely changed for me in ways that I never would have thought. And had I not met him when I did, I met him a few days before my whole apartment flooded and I needed to start life all over. And if I didn't just trust in the universe and go on that date anyways, we never would have met, and my life would have continued to go downhill. So just trust your gut, trust the universe, and when things seem really, really tough, don't think it's over, because good things can come around when you least expect it to.
That was a great way to end it. I'm really glad that a Kirsten's hot take ended on a super positive, uplifting message note, folks. I'm really glad she did that. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, even the people who hate us or disagree with us adamantly. Hopefully this at least gives you new perspective. And for those of you who do enjoy us, you mean the world. We're so thankful that you're tuning in, and that we know how precious your time is. We know how little free time people have, and the fact that you spend that listening to us means a lot. And don't ever think that we don't appreciate that. We hope that wonderful things come to each and every one of you, because you all deserve it. We hope that those clouds part soon and the sun shines brightly for all of you, because each and every one of you deserves wonderful things. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, for another edition of the Flying Otters podcast. And we hope to see you again with some unique perspectives and hopefully some good things to say, or unique and interesting things to say, if not important. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope great things come to all of you, and we hope to see you again soon, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great night, everybody.
Peace.